Our house was just across the street from a big hospital in the city. We lived downstairs and rented rooms upstairs to people who came to the hospital for treatment. One summer evening, while I was making dinner, there was a knock at the door. I opened it to find a man who looked really sick. He's not much taller than my 8-year-old, I thought, looking at his hunched and shrunken body. But the most surprising thing was his face. It was swollen, red, and looked painful. Still, he had a friendly voice and said, "Good evening. I've come to see if you have a room for just one night. I came for treatment this morning, and there's no bus until tomorrow." He told me he had been searching for a room since noon, but no one wanted to give him one because of his face. I guess it's my face. I know it looks bad, but my doctor says with a few more treatments. I hesitated for a moment, but then he said, "I can sleep on the porch in that rocking chair. My bus leaves early in the morning." So, I told him he could stay and rest on the porch. After finishing dinner, I asked him to join us, but he said he had enough food in a paper bag he was carrying. Later, when I went out to talk to him on the porch, I realized that he had a big heart in his small body. He told me he fished to support his daughter, her 5 kids, and her husband who couldn't walk because of a back injury. He didn't complain. Instead, he thanked God for every good thing. That night, we set up a cot for him in the kids' room. When I woke up the next morning, he had neatly folded the bed linens, and he was sitting on the porch. He didn't want breakfast but asked if he could come back for his next treatment. "I won't bother you. I can sleep in a chair," he said. On his next visits, he always arrived early in the morning, bringing us gifts like a big fish or a quart of the largest oysters I had ever seen. He had shucked them that morning before leaving, making sure they were fresh. I knew his bus left at 4 a.m., so I wondered how early he had to wake up to do this for us. In the years he stayed with us, he never came empty-handed. Even when he couldn't visit, he would send packages by special delivery, fish and oysters in a box with fresh spinach or kale. I knew he had to walk 3 miles to mail these, and I understood how precious these gifts were because he didn't have much money. Sometimes, our neighbors would ask if we kept that awful-looking man the night before, saying we might lose tenants because of him. Maybe we did lose some, but if they had known him, they might have seen how kind and generous he was. Our family will always be thankful for knowing him. From him, we learned to accept the bad without complaining and to be grateful for the good. Recently, I visited a friend with a greenhouse, and I saw the most beautiful flower, a golden chrysanthemum, growing in an old, dented bucket. I thought, if this were mine, I'd put it in the loveliest container I had. But my friend told me, I ran out of pots, and I knew how beautiful this one would be, so I thought it wouldn't mind starting in this old pail. It's just until I can put it in the garden. It made me think of heaven. Maybe God said, "Here's a wonderful soul," when he saw the sweet old fisherman. He won't mind starting in this small body.